Welcome back to the Feather and Field podcast, the show where we sit down with hunters, dog people, conservationists, and the folks who spend more days in the uplands than anyone else. This is a place for real conversations about wild birds, wild places, bird dogs, and the stories that shape us as outdoors men and women. Today, I'm joined by Brendon Paden of Camp. Well, Brendon, welcome to the show. It's good to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I know you're located up in Pennsylvania. I was just wondering how bird season's shaping up for you this year up there.
So far, it's been pretty good. We took most of my hunting so far has been out of state. We took about 2 weeks to go out to South Dakota and Minnesota this year, and then the rest of my season in Pennsylvania has been pretty limited to mainly just guiding at the family preserve.
Okay. I'm jealous. My buddy went to South Dakota last year, and I'm just jealous. I'm jealous of the pheasant hunting out there.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique experience. That's my third year going out now.
Okay.
And it's if you're hunting all public land or walk-in areas or anything like that, it's not what you think of whenever you see like the YouTube videos of hundreds of birds flushing as soon as you come out of a cedar thicket and things like that. I did get a chance to hunt a little bit of private the first year I went out, and that was pretty much your picture perfect birds flushing everywhere. And whenever I was out there, my dog, it was my first dog, he was just over a year old. And we get about 3/4 of the way through a cedar thicket, and there's probably a couple hundred birds came flushing out. And it was my first Brittany, and he literally had no idea what to do. He just kind of froze up, started watching all these birds go everywhere. Shots from, I think there was 6 of us hunting, shots going off everywhere. And he's just like, what's going on? There's just too many birds. I'm not used to this. Used to one bird coming out at a time, and that's about it. And he just had no idea what to do.
I feel like in that situation, you almost don't know what to do for a second, like with that many birds.
Yeah, for sure. And then
The
trying to pick out roosters, and like that was my first year ever going out to South Dakota. Here in Pennsylvania, you can shoot roosters or hens, or so you got to make sure it's a pheasant, but you're not worried about shooting hens out here because they're all just put and take birds. So
yeah.
Yep.
Did you see a lot of like English cockers or anything out there? I feel like everyone who's been out there has told me that's what they see a lot of now.
Out in South Dakota.
Yeah.
So we didn't really see too many other people actually hunting.
Okay.
So I talked to one guy who was hunting a different area, and he had a completely different situation than us, but it seemed like every time we would go to a field, if we saw another vehicle there, we would leave and go somewhere else.
Okay.
And everyone else kind of seemed to do the same for us. If they saw that we had a truck parked there and they pulled in after us, then they would just turn around and leave. So honestly, most of the time I didn't see what dogs people were running.
Okay.
But I have heard a lot about that. And then a couple people that we're friends with here in Pennsylvania, the one guy has, I think, 2 English cockers, another guy that comes out to the farm quite a bit. He's got an English cocker, and then another guy that comes out with them sometimes has one as well. So we see them a decent amount of them. They seem to get a lot more popular now too.
Yeah, I was curious about that because I know a guy, he's a local dog trainer here, and after he went to South Dakota last year, he come back and bought an English cocker because he hunted with a random guy he met out there, and he had one. So I was just curious about that.
Yeah, they seem to be like everyone that I've seen. I think 1, 2, 3. So I've seen 5, like personally, hunting and stuff, and they're all super obedient, listen well, handle well. They retrieve like crazy, like have that drive. They struggle a little bit more in like the super thick grass and stuff, but in kind of a more brushy scenario, they seem to be able to work underneath everything a lot better than some of your bigger frame dogs.
The retrieval I'm jealous of. I have a setter, and he's 50-50. He's a typical setter, I guess.
It's all on what you need and what you want. If you want a perfect retrieve, then you can probably work to that point. But if not, like for typical hunting, you don't really need it.
No, I don't. necessarily. And so for the people that might not know you and may not know about you in social media yet, how did you like what was your story getting into hunting and maybe not just the upland specifically, but just hunting in general?
Yeah. So growing up, both my parents hunted and my older brother hunts. Um, so ever since I was probably, I don't remember exactly how old. I don't remember exactly how old I was whenever I first went out. Um, but I was probably either 5 or 6, and I would go out with my mom. My brother, who's 2 years older, would go out with my dad, and we would always hunt with them. And then whenever I was 11 was the first year that Pennsylvania did that Menard youth hunt. So you didn't have to be 12 anymore. You could start being younger. And so I was able to rifle hunt when I was 11 and then just continued on rifle and archery hunting ever since then. And then I met my wife freshman year of college, started dating her sophomore year of college, and her dad has a regulated shooting grounds for pheasants here in Pennsylvania. And whenever we graduated, he had a litter of Brittany's, and I always wanted a lab. And this litter of Brittany's happened, and my wife fell in love with the one puppy. So we ended up compromising, and we got our first dog, Bo. And that's kind of what got me started into the upland world. And then deer hunting kind of took a back seat to that for a little while. And then this year I started deer hunting a little bit more, but still pretty much focus on bird hunting.
Okay. I feel like deer hunting is like the entryway into the outdoors, at least over here on the East Coast,
Yeah.
eastern
Yeah.
part of the US. Like
Yeah.
really
And
don't.
like growing up, we always had private land that we were allowed to hunt. And it was nothing to see 20 or 30 deer in a day during rifle season or even archery season. You'd see quite a few
Yeah.
deer. So that was kind of a great way for me personally to get started because get a little bored sitting there not seeing anything. So by constantly seeing deer made it a lot more interesting.
That's my biggest problem deer hunting is I don't have the patience to sit in the tree long enough,
Yeah.
especially if I'm not seeing deer.
Yeah. And then once you get a bird dog and you're like, okay, I don't mind walking all day and just watching the dog run and work and do this and do that. And then you go and sit in a tree stand. You're like, man, I could be running the dog right now, but I'm sitting here not seeing anything. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you get ruined on it. That's what
yeah,
happened. Like I started running my dog more and then I'd go sit in a tree on public land and wouldn't see a deer all day. And I was like, I just wasted my entire day sitting in a tree when I could have been doing something else.
yeah. And then whenever the hunting gear comes out and the dog starts getting all worked up, you're like,
Oh,
nope,
it's,
you
yeah.
can't go now. I'm deer hunting. Sorry, buddy. You gotta stay here.
Yeah, and part of you just feels bad when you see them get all worked up and you're like, man, I'm not
Yep.
we're not going bird hunting. I'm going deer hunting, buddy.
Yeah, and it's not like a kid where you can be like, no, we're doing this today, not that. They have no idea. They just know that you're going hunting without them and they don't like it.
Yeah. Yep. Ollie, get in here. Come lay on your bed. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
He was I don't even know. Getting a drink out of the bathtub, I think.
Bathtub's better than the toilet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've been there. Um, what's it about like bird hunting that drew you to it? I know, you got your first pup and you wanted that lab, but is there something beyond the dog that brought you to it? Or
Um, Part of it was with my in-laws preserve, seeing all the opportunities they got or that it provided to get other people into the outdoors. So a lot of the people that I'll guide at the farm, it's maybe their first time. Sometimes it's their first time ever hunting. Sometimes it's their first time bird hunting. Sometimes it's they just wanted to go walk along and see what it was all about. So I think with bird hunting, especially with pointing dogs, where it can be more controlled, you can influence a lot more people and get a lot more people involved in the outdoors. And like, I think it is a great way for people that might be on the border of becoming a hunter or not to go on the side of becoming a hunter.
Okay, yeah, that was one thing that actually kind of drew me to it myself is like being on the outside. My buddy, he had a bird dog, and then um, the guy that I bought my bird dog from, he I'd always talk to them about it. When I bought my dog Ollie, I just bought him to be a house pet. I didn't have any intentions of hunting him, but then that boy took me along with him, and I was like, "Oh, dude, uh, this is awesome. I got to do this more." Because it's definitely, it's just being with the dog and being with all your buddies or the people you're hunting with. That's a big, it hooks you for sure, and it hooks you
Yeah.
quick.
Yep. And nice thing is you can kind of hunt with a bunch of different people and not a big deal. And there's a lot more camaraderie involved with bird hunting, in my opinion. And
Oh
like
yeah,
you might hunt out of the same parking lot and go separate ways, but you come back and just kind of tailgate talks and go back to camp and all that. Just, I don't know, makes for good memories.
oh yeah. The camaraderie part of it is almost kind of reminds me of duck hunting because I got into duck hunting right before I got into this. It's kind of the same. It feels like to me, you're just out there with a bunch of buddies and you're just shooting the bull and hoping that you get a shot at a bird. And if you don't, it's not a big deal either.
Yep. And then whenever someone misses, you can razz them a little bit. And
I'm usually that guy. I'm
yep,
usually the guy that misses and gets razzed.
that's all in good fun.
We were we were on a wood duck hunt, pass shooting everything, and I think I shot 2 boxes of shells and did not come home with a bird. And that one still gets brought up. That one will
Yeah.
never that one will never get put down. With Bo, your first dog, do you remember the first like bird he come up on? Wild bird, pen raised bird, whatever it be.
So I don't remember the first pen raised. I remember whenever he was probably he was about 4 months old, maybe. We put some chuckers out for him, and we're so at that point he had already been shot around and stuff. Like we had went through the whole process and gun broke him and all that.
Okay.
And so this one chucker, which I was a terrible shot back then too. So I barely hit it, and it lands, runs through the field, goes into the woods, and then disappears. I'm like, he's 4 months old. We'll see what he does. He'll probably just lose the track and go chase butterflies or something. Who knows? And this bird hit the ground, ran, and he was, I don't know, he had to have been 60 or 70 yards behind it from wherever it hit the ground. And he trailed it the whole way up to where it hit the ground. And then he ended up chasing it all the way into the woods. He ran it around where the one truck was parked. And then it actually ended up underneath the truck. So he dove underneath, chased the bird out, and then he was finally able to grab a hold of it. And I'm like, that's pretty good for a little pup.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that was the first one that like I vividly remember, but it definitely wasn't his first bird.
Okay. Are there any other points or stories like that stick out to you about Bo?
So he's always been like a really good retriever, super strong-headed dog, and like has that real drive to retrieve, which is good and bad, but
Yeah.
it made the whole breaking process a little more difficult because he just wanted to go chase birds. But I do have one. My other dog, May, she's a little female. Well, not little. She's pretty big for a female. So she's kind of my just for fun dog. Like I don't guide with her or anything, but like to take her hunting and all that. And she's never really liked to retrieve. So I'm like, whatever. Like I don't really need her to retrieve when I'm just hunting, but guiding, it makes a big difference if they'll bring birds back to you. So we've probably shot, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 birds over her, and she'll run over, look at them, look back at you, and then take off running and go find more birds. Like not a care in the world to pick them up. But around the house, she'll pick up every sock, bring it to you, everything she's not supposed to have. Yeah. She's like, oh, I found the sock. Here you go. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't looking for that, but thanks. So we had shot birds with her last year in Minnesota and South Dakota, and no retrieves. And then this year in South Dakota, we were running her and her litter mate, and her litter mate worked this bird perfect. Bird comes up, I shoot it, it goes into the grass. Mate takes off running to go check out, see what's going on. And her sister's one of my guide dogs, and she's great retriever, great finding birds, like just pretty. She's probably my best dog. And I see her kind of working off to the right, and then all of a sudden I see May come running back toward me, and I'm like, "Oh, that's weird. Like, that dog has a bird, like big rooster in her mouth." I'm like, "There's no way that's her." Yep, sure shit. Here she comes carrying a rooster. I'm like, "Huh." Very first retrieve on a wild bird, and like is about picture perfect retrieve. Didn't mouth it at all. Just picked it up and ran straight to me and dropped it right at my feet. And I'm like, "Huh, maybe you're a bird dog." And then we haven't had another retrieve out of her since.
That was just a little stab at the litter mate right there, is what that was.
Yep. Hey, look,
Yep.
I got it.
Yeah, you can't have it.
Nope, my
How
bird.
many how many dogs are you running?
So I have four.
Okay. All Brittany's?
Yeah. So we have Bo is my first one, and then uh we were wanting to get a female out of his mom, but she wasn't coming back into heat for some reason. So I ended up finding another Brittany out of New York. They're breeder out of New York. So I showed a picture to my wife, and I was like, "Hey, can I go buy this one?" She's like, "Yeah, I guess." So I ended up going up north, picking him up, and it was maybe 2 months later, the female came into heat, and my father-in-law ended up breeding her, and so we ended up keeping a female out of there. So that gave us two puppies that they're only a few months apart. They're what, 8 months apart, something like that. And so we had two puppies under a year, and then my father-in-law was keeping the litter mate, the other female,
Okay.
and it like 8 weeks she would point. At 12 weeks she'd retrieve a wing out of the water,
No
and
kidding.
she was doing great. And we were like, "What are you gonna do with that dog?" He's like, "Well, I'll run her and all that." And my wife was like, "Nope, we're keeping her too." So we ended up with the two sisters. I think we brought the second one into the house at 12 weeks ish. So we had two 12-week-old puppies, and then like a 10-month-old puppy running around.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was chaos for a little bit.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah, but it all worked out.
Wh- Why'd you stick with the Brittany? Is there like a specific reason you stuck with Brittany and you didn't go, maybe English setter, the short hair rave that everyone's on?
So I'm a little too smart to get a short hair. Setters, I've always now I've seen a lot of short hairs. They've all been like really good dogs.
They're just crackheads all the
Yeah,
time.
yep. They're definitely a different breed, and I've never understood why people get them and with no intention of hunting with them.
Oh yeah, I couldn't.
Like,
We knew someone who did that, and he would kick off the chain link fence and jump over the other dogs. Like he was out of his mind.
that's crazy. Um, but yeah, so my father-in-law's always had Brittany's, and he's had them. I think he got his first one sometime in the '80s, and so since we got the first one from him, we've just kind of continued on with them, and they work really well for guiding in how we hunt.
Okay.
So with guiding, all of ours except for May, which is why I don't really guide with her, retrieve really well. They all swim really well. They might not be like the prettiest on point, like super high tail, like a set big. I mean, they don't really have a tail, so
Well,
can't really compare it to a setter. Um, the size of them, we just really like our Brittany's are a little bit on the larger frame side
okay.
compared to breed standard. Um, like Bo, my oldest male, he's like 49, 50 pounds.
Oh, okay.
But that's not like not like an overweight 40 or 50 or 49, 50 pounds. He's in pretty good shape at that size. Um, and like with guiding, if you have, so some people are probably gonna be like, well, on wild birds, it's a little bit different. But so on guiding, if you get a dog that points birds 30 yards away, then trying to find pen raised birds when you're guiding makes it a little bit more difficult.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So our dogs, they'll point 10, 15 yards away.
Okay.
Sometimes a little bit closer on the pen raised birds, and it makes it a little bit quicker to find the birds, get them
Oh yeah.
flushed out, and all that. And then we struggle whenever we go hunt wild birds because they think they can put their nose on them, and
Yeah.
the bird
Bump them.
flushes way out ahead. Yep. So it takes a few, but they finally start getting the hang of it. But a lot of the setters and stuff that we see, they seem to have a little bit bigger of a nose where they're wanting to point birds quite a bit farther, and then
Okay.
it takes them a lot longer guiding wise to try and find birds and then get them flushed. And a lot of the people that we're guiding, just they're there more to have fun and shoot birds,
Oh yeah.
not try and root around for a bird for 10 or 15 minutes.
Hmm. Is that the biggest difference between a guide dog and like a wild bird dog per se, for lack of a better
uh,
term,
um I
in
would,
your eyes?
yeah, so like guide dogs for us, um that's kind of how things work. And then like wild bird dogs definitely need to be able to point farther, be able to handle wild birds. And then like whenever we're guiding, I try and keep my dog as steady as possible. So when they go on point, I don't want them moving. That way I
Okay.
can get up by them, keep the dog under control and let the clients flush the birds. And but whenever we go out west, if you have running rooster, then the dog, if it's completely broke, then that bird could be 40, 50, 60 yards out in front of that dog running away and your dog's not moving.
Yeah.
So to me, it seems like it helps a little bit if you have a dog that's not as steady, and but they're smart and can kind of work up as that bird's moving and kind of keep a little bit of pressure on them, but not too much pressure where they're bumping them.
Yeah. Do your dogs differentiate like between guiding and when they're on wild birds, or does it take a while?
It takes a while. So it takes
Okay.
quite a few bird contacts before they finally click. And
Okay.
there's things that you can do training wise with launchers and things like that that I just haven't had the time to do.
Yeah.
Um, but if I was smart, a week or two before we would go out, I'd get the launchers out and start launching birds quite a bit out in front of them so they start making that connection that, hey, I can't get close anymore.
But as long as they differentiate, I've heard a lot of people say that they're smart enough to kind of know, but it just takes a second to kind of
Yeah.
understand, I guess.
Yep. It takes a few for them to realize, hey, I'm playing it different now.
So, when you're guiding, sorry, what's guiding taught you about the uplands and stuff that you wish every hunter knew?
So I would say I got two things really. So the first one, um, is one, always trust the dog and let the dog work. They seem to know a lot better than you, but also keep that dog under control. So a wild and crazy bird dog is good for no one. You want to make sure that you do have a handle on your dog before you put them in certain situations that could be hazardous to them and you or other hunters. Um, and then two, I wouldn't really say it was guiding. I would say it's more getting involved in the uplands.
Okay.
Is growing up in school and as a deer hunter, I've always thought cutting forest was bad. So you always hear like cutting trees is bad, clear cutting's bad, this and that. But then getting into the uplands and seeing like the rough grouse decline in Pennsylvania and all that, and actually learning about like habitat management and biology and things like that, I learned that okay, actually cutting forest is huge and it's actually really beneficial for deer and turkeys and literally everything. And it's really opened my eyes to see like, okay, I was wrong all those years. I was taught wrong all those years. And now, okay, I would like to try and actually educate people on that, because if you don't cut forests, then they're completely overgrown and they're not really good for hardly anything.
Yeah, I complete I completely agree with both of them. And the forest and the cutting, like I was taught the same thing. Like, don't cut it, let the trees grow, and then you walk around. I'm sure the Pennsylvania woods are the exact same as down here, but you walk around in all these old forests, and there's no underbrush, there's no plants underneath the canopy. It's just old oak trees or maple trees or whatever it may be, and there's nothing under there for you know the birds to hide, the deer to eat on. Nothing. It's just they have to rely on the acorns if they can get a good crop for the year. That was
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. Like I've never. So whenever I was younger and deer hunting, I was always like, "Oh, they're cutting the woods and this, and, like it's just ruining the deer hunting." But then I was like, "Well, now I'm looking back. All of the deer bedding areas are super thick,
Yep.
so you got to have thick areas. Once things grow up, they're not thick anymore." But to me, I'd never put two and two together that if you cut trees, it gets thicker bedding areas and also food. And like, I just never made that connection
Yeah,
until I
I didn't
started
either.
upland hunting.
Yeah, and another thing you said, trusting the dog. That is a that's that's a big lesson, and I feel like it's one usually learned the hard way, where most people have to learn it on their own.
Yeah. And like, I've seen, so from guiding, I sometimes can see birds in the field, and I've
Yeah,
seen my dogs run by birds. I've seen field trial dogs run by birds. I've seen really, really good hunting dogs run by birds. Maybe they get on the wrong side of the wind of the bird, or they circle around it the wrong way, or maybe for some reason they just couldn't smell it. So there are, I would bet just about every dog has ran by a bird before. But I can't tell you how many times my dog was kind of working. I'm like, yeah, there's no way there's a bird over there. And even out in Minnesota or South Dakota, I'm like, that doesn't look like the right cover. We're Come on back, let's go this way. And then out goes a bird because I'm whistling or something toward my dog. I'm like, dang it, I should have just followed him.
yeah. That something similar had happened to me because I just started really hunting my dog, and he's a little bit older. He's like 5, but um, I take him to the local preserve here, and we hunted a big field, and I knew he'd been running past birds because I'd seen birds on the field edge. And then this guy went in behind me with a setter and a lab. And they killed like 3 birds out of that field. And I'm sitting there and I'm just down on both of us. I'm like, you can't smell nothing. I'm not putting you in the right spots. And then as we're walking that field, he gets a little bit birdie and goes on point. And I'm like, and he, at this time, he had brought me like 2 dead birds that were just wings and a spine at that point. I was like, you probably just smell another dead bird. And I just go walking up through there. Shotgun's not shouldered anything, and a big rooster comes up. And I'm like, kicking myself in the butt. Like, man, I've heard trust the dog 100 times. Like, they know more than we do.
Yep.
And,
Yep. Always pay attention to them.
and I was just, that's when I learned the big lesson like, trust the dog because they know it's there. But it's, it's just hard, I guess, to get into it now. You
Follow the
said you,
hunter with the longest nose.
how did you do out in Minnesota and South Dakota this year?
So we start out in Minnesota. We do a duck and grouse kind of combo. We duck hunt with the guys that we
Oh,
go out
okay.
with in the morning, and then my wife and I take the dogs out and grouse and woodcock hunt in the afternoon. And the 2 years prior that I went out duck hunting, we did really well both years. And then this past year, um, we ended up with 3 birds total, and there
Okay.
was 6 guys hunting. We killed one the first day, one the third day and one the last day. And it was so slow that my wife and I didn't even duck hunt the last either 2 or 3 days. We just took the dogs and grouse hunted. Um, and then grouse hunting, we didn't end up killing any grouse. We killed a few woodcock. Grouse were just either typical grouse stories where you see or you hear more than you see. There's a few that they came out on the logging roads and had a clear shot, but they were flying too low and didn't want to
Okay.
risk shooting at a dog.
Yeah.
Um, and then there was a few that I definitely should have had and pull the trigger and they keep flying. Took out a couple trees. Um, and then so no grouse there. And then so whenever we woke up Saturday morning, left from Minnesota to head out to South Dakota. A couple hours into the drive, we ended up hitting a deer with the truck,
Oh
and
man.
then it luckily, knock on wood, it was drivable. So we most of the roads out there 65 speed limit because everything's
Okay.
pretty flat and straight, and so we were just getting into a town where you had to slow up. Luckily, and I think the speed limit was like 40, so I was slowing up to that, and out pops this big doe,
Oh,
and I hit her with the front corner of the truck. She spun around, and so she was kind of off to the side, and I try and get my door open, can't get the door open, and finally get the door open. By that time, she's completely gone. So I must not have hit her hard enough to really knock her down. So
yeah.
must have just stunned her a little bit. And then I walked back over to the truck and I turn around and I see like the glowing tip of a cigarette. And I'm like, that's weird. I look over and I see a guy standing there. So I walk across the road and go talk to him. And he had like a 12-inch Bowie knife. He was sitting there smoking a cigarette. And he's like, where'd she go? I'm like, I don't know. She must have got up and ran off. And he was like, oh, I came out here to finish her off, but looks like that's a job for daylight. And I'm like, all right, yep, we'll see
Let me
ya.
get up the road, buddy.
Yeah. So I get back in the truck. My wife's like, who was that? Or what was that? And I was like, oh, a guy came out to finish off the deer if it needed finished off. And I was like, he was standing there with like a 12-inch knife and smoking a cigarette. And she's like, and you walked over and talked to him? I'm like, yeah, seemed like a nice guy.
Seemed like a trustworthy individual.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh
So
man.
then we got out to South Dakota, and I can't. The first spot we ended up shooting a rooster at. The second spot, which was basically right across the road, my one dog Hank, he got all balled up in the cattails to the point where I had to go in like dig him out,
Oh
and
man.
he got something must have stuck up his nose or something, and we got him back to the truck, and he kept like kind of squinting his face
Yeah.
and like sneezing and pawing at his face. So we ended up, I took a couple of videos and sent them to some people that I know that are vets. And they said probably like a seed or something, just keep an eye on him. And the next day he cleared up. So he was all good, but I was afraid we are going to have to run off to a vet somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And then the first spot that next day was kind of like a dream spot. There was a really good private piece right next to us that people were hunting, and a lot of the
Okay.
birds were flushing down our way. And the first two roosters came up. My wife and I both missed, and they were like 15 yards away when they came out of the grass, like about picture perfect shots, and they just kept flying. And then we ended up walking the rest of that. Dogs were getting hot, so we worked our way back to the truck, and we should have easily both had our limit and been done. And we walked out of there with one bird.
Well, it seemed like that's always how it goes. The chip shots are the ones that, at least I always end up missing, are the ones that I feel like should be easy birds in the vest, and
Yeah,
they're not.
yep. And we're the only ones with pointing dogs out of that group. The rest all have flushers. They're like, "How are you missing birds with pointing dogs?" Like, I think it's harder because you're closer and you can think more.
You're, you're anticipating it. You know there's a
Yeah.
bird possibly somewhere in there.
Yep.
Now, everyone that's seen you, follows you on Instagram, or has seen a shared post, has seen the pink gun, the pink barrel gun. Um, I just want to kind of get into that so people can know what you're doing with that because I think it's really awesome. I think it's something I've personally never seen anybody do anything like it.
Yeah. So my whole goal with Camp Co starting out was to find different causes, raise money for different organizations like Rough Grouse Society, different things that kind of mean something to me. So, for instance, Rough Grouse Society here in Pennsylvania, they do a lot of work trying to get the grouse population back. Then a couple years ago, about 2 years, a little bit over 2 years ago, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer at 27. So she got through everything, stayed strong through everything. And as of right now, all of her scans and all that were clear. So she had to go through chemo, radiation, two different surgeries, and kind of basically everything for over a year and a half. She was still able to hunt through everything and all that. And she had support from the one organization called Hairpiece Charities, where they donate, I think it was $500 toward wigs. A lot of people that she worked with, they I think twice they reached out to the rest of the team and said, "Hey, we're going to collect some money and send her a gift card and things like that." So she had a lot of support from different people. Yeah, her work was fantastic through everything. She was able to work through everything, didn't have to take any PTO. She had to take a little bit, but not much. So it was just amazing to see all these people come together and see all these different organizations that do different things for women with breast cancer, not just on the research side of things, but like the Hairpiece Charity is donating money for the wigs. There's another organization that does guided fly fishing trips for women with breast cancer.
Okay. Cool.
There's another one called Little Pink Houses that they give you a free vacation. Awesome. And she actually got selected for the Little Pink House's free vacation.
Okay.
But the only dates that she could have went was a few days before we were going out to Minnesota. So she didn't take the beach vacation and took the cold hunting trip to Minnesota instead.
Priorities.
Yeah. Yep. So after seeing all that and seeing how much like these organizations are doing and something that definitely was striking close to home. The one day I was up in the field, we have a 6-acre field behind the house that I'll take and run the dogs in, let them exercise and all that. And like on weekends, I'll grab a beer and like, take dogs for a run. So grabbed a beer, went up into the field, started walking the dogs. I'm like, what else can I do this year? Like getting into bird season, it's almost breast cancer awareness month. What can we do? And I was like, well, there's a company called Duracoat that makes it's like almost like a ceramic coating for guns, specifically for firearms. And they make all sorts of different products, like 500 different colors and all sorts of things. I'm like, okay. So they make a super easy to apply, like spray paint style, but it comes out really nice finish. And I was like, well, she's going to kill me, but I'm going to paint my gun pink. And the barrel needs redone. Like it's starting to get a little bit of rust. Like no big deal. It's nice gun, but like I'll paint it pink. Yeah, yep, definitely been used. So like, well, we'll paint it pink. Every bird that is shot with that gun, whether I'm guiding or on the hunting trips. So whenever I'm guiding, I'll let people use the gun or whatever. And all those birds are counted toward the dollar per bird donation that we're doing with Camp Co to one of those nonprofits. So right now I'm up to 24 birds with the pink gun. I'm running it till the end of the year. And after deer season, we should get quite a few more with it. But then I had reached out to a few different people that I've met through social media and things like that. And we kind of made it a little bit bigger than I was expecting this year. So we have one lady who her friend actually passed away from breast cancer, and she runs guided hunts that men or women get them into the outdoors. Her goal is 500 birds. She's donating $1 of each of those birds. She's up to 140 or 150 birds on the year. Two other people, Britton and Ashley, they're down out of Texas. They're traveling the country doing different hunts. They actually painted one of their shotguns pink. They've made a big push for it. Ashley wrote a couple articles and put them in a few different publications to get the word out.
Okay.
And then her friend Carrie, um, the three of them started making the blasting for boobies stickers, and they made pink ribbon stickers that
I
people
did
can
see
put on
those. Yeah.
guns. Yep. So they started sending those out to people. Um, and then a couple friends from around here. The one guy's donating $5 for every bird he's shooting this year, and he's over $100 that he's going to be donating. And then another one of our friends is doing the same, and he's right around that same mark. So I'm thinking we should get around like $1,200 to $1,300 raised this year,
Oh,
with
that's awesome.
just a week before bird season really started was when we
Yeah.
started pushing it. So it was kind of thrown together last minute. Um, but I think we should make a pretty good sized dent in things this year, and then hopefully next year with a little bit of that momentum, make it an even bigger thing going on.
Okay. Are you gonna do it every year from now on, or
That's the plan. I would like
okay?
to do it every year and then try and get more people involved and all that.
Okay. How can the people listening to this right now, or people that follow you, how can they help out, and how can they contribute to it?
So we have either send me a message on Instagram. The blasting for boobies hashtag is kind of hit or miss on Instagram on whether or not the photos show up. And I think it's the blasting part. Um,
Uh,
and some of them show up, some don't. It seems like the ones that have guns in the picture don't show up. So I think it's
hmm,
kind of getting censored
yeah.
on that. So on Instagram, can send me a message, or we have a Facebook group called Blasting for Boobies. Um, and you can just go ahead and join that and like start commenting on stuff, sharing pictures, things like that. We still have a bunch of stickers. So if
Okay.
anyone wants a sticker, we can mail them out to you. They're all free. Um, Either send me a message or just comment on one of the posts saying that you want one. And I constantly see that stuff, and we'll send you a private message and get you a sticker headed out.
Okay. Where are they sending those messages to? Just on Instagram or
So on Instagram, it's at camp, CAMP, two underscores because someone else already took the other one, co. So camp double underscore co. And then Facebook, it should be camp co, um, with a period at the end and a space in between. And then you'll find me active on that Blasting for Boobies page as well. And then on our website is www.campcogoods.com, or email us at info@campcogoods.com.
okay. Um, now I know you've been doing this all season. Has there been like maybe not yet, but like a moment along the way where like the impact you're making through this has like really hit you on a hunt or just at any point?
I would say not necessarily on a hunt, but just from the amount of people that have been posting in that Facebook group. And then um, the one lady, Rachel, she was the one that she mentors women in the outdoors. And um, she'd actually reached out, or I was talking to her, and her one friend that she had mentored ended up passing away from breast cancer relatively quickly after she had found out that it came back. And so she's making a huge push for that, but she's also battling um, cancer as well. So she's doing all this, guiding all these women um, all across the country while she's still going through treatments and stuff herself.
Yeah.
So just kind of the uh, selflessness of some people, like she's going through some troubling times, and yet she's still making a push for this other thing that means something to her too.
Yeah. Wow. I couldn't imagine that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just insane. Like I've never met most of these people. Had a few conversations on social media with them, talking to them about different things, and now like uh, Ashley and Britton and Carrie down in Texas, never met them, didn't know them up until probably 6 months ago to a year, maybe. And as soon as I mentioned something about it, they were completely on board and talk to Carrie about making stickers and like put it in the publications and all that. So just people that you never even met before, how much they're willing to have your back and help push an idea to make it come to life.
Yeah, I remember when you messaged me about it, and I was like, this is awesome. Like I've never heard of anybody doing it. I was like, this guy's gonna do something big with it because I felt like it was just such a good idea and such a good thing to do.
Yeah. The hard part that we're running into right now is like legal aspects of things. I
Okay.
actually had to change from my original plan of things because apparently it wasn't legal. So luckily I checked into that before I started doing it. Um, so there are things that are probably going to change once I get confirmation on what I can do and what I can't do. I know
Yep.
what I'm currently doing is 100% legal.
Okay.
Um, but I think we can make a bigger impact as long as I get everything in place to do the things that I want to do.
Yeah. And like you said just a second ago, I think next year will be when you can make the biggest impact because you threw this together pretty quick and not threw it together in a bad way, but in the best way. But you just didn't have a lot of planning to get everything lined out necessarily, I guess.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think the day after I thought about it is whenever I sent you the message about it, just trying to run ideas through. And that was
Yep.
what the last week of September.
Yeah, something like that. It couldn't have been
Yeah.
very long before season at all.
So I was scrambling pretty good trying to get at least something going. Because I was like, well, if I wait till next year, like, yeah, I can probably have a little bit more organized. But if like, might as well throw it out there this
Just
year
do it.
and
Yeah.
yeah, work through the kinks and see how it goes and
Yeah.
make next year that much better.
Yeah. You can learn a lot from this year while still making an impact. So you can line out all the details for next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and you mentioned Campco. Is that your main job, or is that just something you do strictly for the conservation stuff?
So currently, it is not my main job. I'm a full time residential home inspector.
Okay.
Um, so eventually, I would like Camco to be like I'm pushing to get Camco as my full time gig.
Yeah.
But right now, it's me and my wife will help out whenever I get way behind and need dug out of a hole. Um, I do everything out of my basement or my garage. I have a wood shop in one half of the garage, and then our basement's jam packed full of stuff. My wife wants to kill me every day because of it. Um, so I have a screen printing operation down the basement. I make all the candles, the soaps, the patch hats, all that stuff out of the basement. Um, and then I have like all of the apparel, everything all boxed up on shelves everywhere. And our house isn't very big, so it's a little crowded down there.
Um, do you now it says like you get everything's like American made. Do you get the wood local or you just buy the lumber?
So everything to a certain extent is American made. The apparel is the main stuff that's not 100% American made because
Yeah.
I haven't been able to find hats that I like that are
Yeah.
American made. I haven't
No.
found shirts that are quite right that are American made. The inks that I use for that are American made.
Okay.
And then obviously final assembly that I do in house is American. As far as all the wood products go, there's a local sawmill. He actually works full time while he runs a sawmill and like does all the drying of the lumber and all that.
Okay.
He's 15 minutes up the road, so I get all the lumber from him. Um, the oils that I use to finish stuff, they're American made. Even the sandpaper that I use is American made. Some of my tools aren't, but majority of the stuff, as much as I can do, is
Yeah.
all American made products.
Apparel's hard because apparel's been out of the US for forever, it feels like. So there's not a lot
Yeah.
of people that are doing all that in the country now.
Nope. I've found some, they're just not is good a quality. And as soon as I can find a really nice American made hat that I like and other people like, then I'm gonna switch over to mainly American made for the hats. And then same thing with the shirts and stuff. But I just haven't quite found ones that I think people would enjoy wearing.
Yeah. If you can find an American made hat that beats a Richardson, I'm all on board.
Yeah, I have one that it definitely does not beat Richardson.
They are they're the king. I found one other brand. I think it's called Classic maybe. And they're close, but they're not quite a Richardson. I don't know
Yeah,
what makes the Richardson so reliable.
I have no idea, but they're definitely the go-to for a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, what do you have any states or bird species that are on your bucket list? That was one thing I'd like to ask people.
I would say not necessarily state specific,
Uh-huh.
but I would like to go to either North Dakota or northern South Dakota for chasing huns. Um, and then also, I want to do a couple different quail hunts, but quail are just such a far drive. Well, Kansas, but I'd like to chase some of the other subspecies of quail, and it's just hard to justify that far of a drive. And I don't know if my sissy Brittany's can handle some of that terrain.
Oh, you have to put the boots on them.
Yeah, they'd end up with cut paws and sand or like cactuses in their paws, and I don't know if they'd like that too much.
Speaking of cactus, this is so off topic, but I saw a video of maybe it's Tyler Sladen that posted it. His Jag Terrier was eating a cactus in a video. I couldn't I didn't know how to even watch the video. I couldn't fathom what I was seeing.
Yeah,
This
my
dog was
dogs
just
aren't very smart, but I don't know if they do that.
she was just taking bites out of it. It was insane. Upland hunting in the next like 10, 20 years, where do you see it? Do you see it getting popular like duck hunting did, or do you see it falling off maybe a little bit?
I think it depends on bird numbers. So I think a large part of why people get into duck hunting and why it became so popular is the amount of action that you can get in certain places.
Yeah,
I think upland hunting would is the same or very similar, where if you're able to shoot at a lot of birds, then you're more likely to get hooked on it.
yeah,
If you walk for all day and you flush one bird, then it's probably not a good way to get people involved. So if bird numbers drastically decline or continue on the downward trends like the grouse here in Pennsylvania, uh, I think the upland hunting or upland hunter numbers will decline as well. And I think if the bird numbers increase, then I think hunter numbers will also be on the upward trend.
I agree with that. I feel like that's 100% why people get into duck hunting, and I feel like in order to get those bird numbers, we all need to support those organizations like you talked about earlier, like Ruffed Grouse Society, when it comes to timbering and things like that. I talked to Tom out of Pennsylvania, and he was talking about how RGS is working with the local sawmills and stuff up there in Pennsylvania to try and get some of that habitat back. And I wish they would talk to the guys down here in West Virginia and get them to kind of do that same thing. But we'll see if that ever happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll make a big difference if they can start doing a lot more timbering. I'm not a biologist. I don't have a clue much about it, but in my opinion, I think if they can timber a lot more, do a lot more clear cuts, and get the biologists involved in actually doing it properly, then I think it could make a greater impact. But I know like a few people that I know from field trials and stuff out toward the center of the state. They've been seeing a lot more birds. So it sounds like they're making a comeback a little bit. But I haven't been out to see that myself.
Okay. I've not. I know what I've heard when it comes to down here, out like in the Mon Forest and things like that, but I've not made the drive out there myself, so I don't want to speak on it firsthand. But I've heard that bird numbers are few and far between. I guess that's the same story you hear out here in the east when it comes to rough grouse. My grandpa, he used to say they could walk through the woods and flush 20 of them, 25 of them just walking through the woods, and now you can walk for days and not flush a single bird.
Yep, that's even probably 15, 20 years, probably close. Yeah, 15 to 20 years ago, uh, you could walk through the woods without a dog and flush quite a few birds. And then once I got my dog, the first time I took him out, and he had already been on quite a few birds at that point, we had zero flushes all day. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then that trend kind of continued where you might have one flush, you might find one bird, might find two birds, might find zero birds. And it was that way for a little bit. And then it started to come back a little bit and kind of stayed low. But the last 2 years, from what I've heard, it's starting to make a little bit of a comeback.
That's good. I took Ollie out to woodcock on a couple times this year, and I don't want to say there were no woodcock in there because a guy went in right after me with what I assume is a more experienced woodcock dog. But um, Ollie's still a hard charger when it goes to running through the woods. So I don't want to say that there was or was not any woodcock in that cover, but we were unsuccessful in connecting with any.
Has he pointed woodcock before?
He's pointed one woodcock before, and we were down at the same place that we hunted. And it was in like March a couple years ago or last year maybe. And I was just letting him get out and run a little bit, stretch his legs. And we were walking the edge of a cut cornfield, and he pointed on this little tiny group of corn stalks. I was like, "What in like there's no quail out here, there's no pheasant out here." And I got up to it and it bumped out and went and sat in the woods. And I was like, well, there was a woodcock, but we've not seen one since then. But he's pointed one, and
Okay.
he doesn't use his nose really yet. That's a big thing we're working on is trying to get him to. He knows how to use it. He just doesn't use it until he busts that first bird up out of there, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, got to use my nose for this one."
Yeah. Like Bo, he never, for a while, he just kind of treated woodcock like they were another Tweety bird. He would just run by him, not paying attention to him. And then finally, I don't know, after bumping probably five or six at least, he finally was like, wait, I think I should point them. And then now he does great on them. But it took like, so we shot two without him actually pointing them. They were just birds that he bumped.
Yeah.
And he ran over by them because he saw a bird fall, and he like kind of looked at it and just left it and just kind of, and then we'd actually force fetched him. And so we took it over by him and we're like, all right, Bo, hold. And he like kind of curled his lip back like, ew, that thing smells like worms. That's gross. I ain't eating that thing. Like, I'm not holding that. And but now he does fine with them. But yeah, I don't know, something about the smell, or I don't know what the deal is, but I've heard some dogs just in general won't retrieve them, won't point them, nothing.
Hmm. The snarl of the lip that made me think about we'd shot a pheasant at the preserve last year, and generally if I like cheer him on a little bit, it would not bring the bird to me. And this hen, he did not want to pick up. And I finally went over and picked it up and just was tired of trying to get him to retrieve it. And it had landed in a pile of cockleburrs, and it was covered all the way around in cockleburrs. And I was like, well, no wonder you didn't want to pick this thing up. I wouldn't have picked it up either.
It's like picking up a cactus.
Yeah. And then when I come to the end, I like to do some end questions and just not necessarily rapid fire, but they're kind of all over the place. And I just like to, I don't know, just like to throw them out there. But what
Hmm.
what's your favorite shotgun you've ever had?
Personally, or that I've shot from someone else's.
Mm, we can do both.
My personal favorite is I have a Franke Instinct over under. It's the one that I actually painted pink.
Okay.
Um, my favorite that I used to shoot a lot when I was shooting skeet. It was my uncle's gun. It was an old Browning superposed.
Man.
It was his dad's rabbit gun. Like he couldn't change the chokes out. It was all beat up, like scratched up. And I shot it great. And I was shooting against guys that they were shooting. What's like a they were like $10,000 shotguns, something like that. I forget what brand they were. Uh,
Yeah, Fausty maybe or something like that.
I can't remember. But like I just knew that they were super expensive, and I'm
Yeah,
here shooting this old rabbit gun. It wasn't quite as good as them, but I was competing with them.
yeah.
So that's my all-time favorite gun, but it's not my personal gun.
The other Frankie, which instinct do you have?
We have two of them. I can't remember which ones they are though. I have mine has the that case hardened look on the
Okay.
receiver, and it has a quail engraving on the one side, and I think dove on the other side,
SLX
and
maybe. I don't know.
that might be it. And then my wife has whatever one has the aluminum receiver.
Super light.
Okay,
That was a personal question because I've looked at those myself.
yeah, they're pretty nice. Hey, can we pause for a
Yeah,
second? I gotta grab my
absolutely.
laptop charger.
Yep.
I saw the
Yeah, I've looked at the
all right,
Frankie instincts. My wife will kill me if I buy one, but she
I
can't.
got the first one used off a friend that didn't like it, and I paid 900 for that. And then the second one I got used at one local gun store, and I think retail they were like 15 or 1600 up here, somewhere
Okay.
around there. And I think I got it for 1100, and it was like the action was still tight on it. It felt like it was never shot.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been between that and the Weatherby, but I see everyone rocking the Frankie, and I'm really debating on it.
Yeah, they're so is that weather being over under or a semi?
I've looked at the over under. I've looked at the semis too, but I just don't. I know they just come out with another element two. I just don't know enough about them.
Okay. You
Everybody around here is
use
Benelli or die.
yeah. Yeah, those are what, around 2 grand now?
I don't even know. But I asked my buddy. He only buys Benelli.
Yeah. The uh my wife's dad's friend, my father-in-law's friend, has a Weatherby. I don't know if it's a youth model or what, but it's a little light 20 gauge, not quite full length, and that's what my wife takes out to Minnesota duck hunting, and that's a really nice gun.
Okay.
But I don't know much about it. Whether it's I don't know how much they are. He's like a gun's meant to be shot, not left in the safe. So do whatever you need. And I'm like, well, it's gonna get beat around in the duck boat. And he's like, I
Yeah.
don't care. All right.
That's kind of how I am. Like, I don't abuse it, but like, I buy it to use. Some people might call it abuse, but
Might need as a walking stick or push pull for the boat sometimes. So don't want anything too expensive.
yeah. Now, I asked you like if there's anywhere you want to go, but let's take out everything. Like, drive doesn't matter, whatever. What's a dream upland hunt that you have? You could go anywhere, hunt anything
In the US or in the world.
in the world, anywhere.
So I would like to go, and this is just mainly because of like the historical aspect of it, but
Okay.
like Scotland or somewhere over there where they have a huge like upland heritage. I was talking to a retriever breeder that imports labs from, I think it's Scotland. I can't remember for sure. And he was talking about like how they do different trials and things over there, and like just kind of the overall heritage of it, and like the whole background of everything. And he said like So everything's all about a potable bird. So they did it for food. So that's what everything is about. So they'll do these like hunt test trial type things. And if the bird is too damaged where it can't be eaten, so if you destroy it from shooting it, then you're disqualified. If your dog comes back and like chewed up the bird or anything like
Yeah.
that, crushed it, whatever, you're disqualified. And then he said, after it's all said and done, all the guys go to the bar, get on the bar stool, and their dogs sit by their feet and they hang out and talk about the day and all that. And I just think stuff like that, where it's such a long history of the sporting breeds, that I think it would, and a lot of those guys know a lot about the history of it.
Okay.
And the American history side of things is so much shorter time frame wise
Yeah.
that I think it would be such a cool experience to go over and see how they do that and participate in like one of the driven hunts, even though I'm not like a huge driven hunt type person. Just the historical aspect of it really intrigues me.
Okay. That's interesting. Uh, Now those are like the guys that you see standing there in the vests and their labs are right there. They have like four labs beside of them.
Yep.
Okay.
Their dogs are a lot more behaved than mine too, so I'd like to
Oh,
see that.
much more behaved than mine. Bringing up a lab when you talked about earlier, you always wanted a lab and you ended up with a Brittany.
Mhm.
I always talked about wanting a chocolate lab after my uncle got one, and then I ended up with a setter. So uh, I've talked about maybe falling somewhere in the middle and getting like a Griffon next or something, but I don't know. What's one piece of gear that you have that you couldn't live without?
Uh, because my dogs don't listen very good, my Garmin Alpha, being able to keep track of them. We the last day in South Dakota, we had actually made it through the entire hunt without like dogs running off, no vet bills, no nothing. And I was getting ready to swap, put the females away and get the males out. And the GPS caller decided to act up and wasn't working. So we called it quits and we ended up driving home. Like, not risking it. Like, I'm not losing the dog. It's not worth it. So
Yeah.
that's one thing that I won't hunt without now.
Now, do your females or do your males listen better?
The females listen pretty good. My oldest male, he doesn't like to listen at all. My youngest male or my younger male, he listens relatively good. Um, but I would say overall, our females are a lot better at listening.
Okay. I always say that Ollie's he's the first dog, like he's the one that got me into it. He'll always be like the best dog. But if I have another dog who's as hard headed as him, I don't know what I'll do.
Yeah.
I just
Yep.
don't know if I can take it again.
Yeah. I kind of wish Bo wasn't my first dog because now I know a lot more about it and he would be a lot better off if if I knew then what I know now,
Yeah.
because I made every mistake in the book with him and learned the hard way, and he was hard headed, so that made it 10 times worse.
I feel I've said this after talking to people. Everyone says your first dog's not your best dog, although like they are in your eyes. But I feel like that's the same song with everybody. It's like, man, if I had my first dog now, he would like they'd be 10 times better. But
Yeah.
he yeah, he's hard headed. I mean, I got pretty lucky. He listens in the field really well, but at home or anywhere else, he's just hard headed as a brick wall. And the Garmin Alpha, that's a thing that I'm gonna invest in because for my own sanity, because I couldn't imagine losing a dog. He comes back, he checks in, but I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
weird about it.
That first year out in South Dakota with Bo, the Garmin actually died on me, and he would listen, but at that point he just decided he didn't want to. And this kind of goes back to the make sure your dog's under control, because Collar died. I had no control over him, and he was I don't even know how far he was running, but there was a lot of birds flushing everywhere, and he was just running like crazy, and nothing I could do about it. So by
Yeah.
the time I finally got my hands on him, got the call or got the lead on him, and just took him back to the truck, and he didn't get out until his collar was recharged.
Yeah. And I don't know about your dog Bo, but Ollie, he is very collar aware. He knows when the e-collar is on and when it's not.
Yeah.
100%.
Even back then, though, like I didn't necessarily need it that much, but it was almost like he knew that it died.
Yep.
Like he knew it was on, but it was like he knew that
Yep.
it died and I couldn't do anything. And he's like, that's Bo's time to shine.
Yeah.
Let's see how many birds we can see.
Yeah. It's like when they feel like it's dead, they know it's dead, and they just push one minor limit, and they're like, "Oop, I didn't get corrected on that one. It's go time."
Yeah.
Because he's the same way. Like, I can put it on him if it's dead to try and trick him. No, he knows. He knows it's not dead. And when it's on, he walks it straight and narrow. When it's off, no, there's no shot. I mean, he listens pretty good, but he knows what he can get away with it all. And I was reading George DaCosta's book, and he talked about that. And the training was like, try to make your dog not collar aware. And I'm like, well, we are past that point. He is
Yeah.
already collar aware.
How do we go back?
Yeah. Can we erase memory?
Hmm.
What is the worst miss in the field? Your worst missed shot? Was it South Dakota this year? Or does any
Mm,
more stand out to you like that?
can I throw my wife under the bus on the worst miss?
Sure.
So we were up in Vermont a couple years ago, and we were grouse hunting up there. And she was like, I gotta pee. I'm like, all right. So I'm standing there watching the one dog work, and she goes, leans her gun, or unloads her gun, leans it up against the tree, walks around the backside, goes pee. All of a sudden, dog bumps a bird, and it flushes. And she's probably 5 yards from her gun or so. And she had never killed a grouse. And this bird lands in a tree 30 yards from us, and she's sitting there peeing, gun's 5 yards from her, bird up in a tree. She's like, what do I do? And I'm like, finish up and grab your gun. As soon as it flushes, shoot. She's like, okay. So finishes up, grabs her gun, puts shells in, breaks it back. I don't know. She took one or two steps. Bird comes out of the tree, shoots twice. She sees a feather come off, but I think it was from it just flying through the trees. She's like, did I get it? And I'm like, I don't think so.
Oh man, that goes back to the anticipation we talked about when
Yep.
it comes to a pointing dog. Like she saw the bird, she knew everything that needed to go right, and then the nerves get the best of you in this situation.
Yeah.
But that's something you guys will always remember for
Yep.
sure. What's the best bird dog moment? The best moment one of your dogs has had performance wise, let's say.
That would actually be from field trial with Bo. He ended up getting dog of the day, and then we won for doubles pointing that day off this run. And so I don't know if you've ever ran like or heard of like UFTA. They're
Yeah.
like a time trial basically.
Hmm.
So we're running doubles. You have two shooters, two dogs, and there's six birds in the field, and it's basically a time trial to get all six birds. And the dogs also have to retrieve to hand each of the birds. So we're going through, and I shoot this one quail, and it kind of goes a little ways, goes down. And I like just barely hit it, so it lands right on the edge of the pond. And the gallery that's watching the field, they're like over by this pond, and there's an island on the pond. So Bo goes, tracks the bird down, gets up behind it, and it flushes flushes out onto the island. He had to swim the whole way across the water out onto the island, picks the bird up right in front of all these people, and then just straight line across the water, back onto land, runs straight over to me, retrieves or retrieved it right to ham. And that was, I can't remember for sure if that was the last bird or the second to last bird, but if he wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have won that trial. So it was like right in front of everyone where everyone could see it. And it was about as picture perfect of a retrieve as you could ask for, especially from him, because never know. Earlier in that day, I hit a bird and it went down after 30, like it was 30 yards away. He ran over to it, picked it up, brought it halfway back to me, dropped it, looked at me and took off hunting again. Like, you can do the rest.
Yeah.
And he would have won that one too, but we didn't because we didn't get the full retrieve. So I was like down on my luck. And then he makes a miraculous retrieve in front of everyone. And like, as soon as he brought it back to me, you could just hear everyone cheering because they could see the whole thing. I'm like, ah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And in your mind, you're excited and you're just thinking, can you do that all the time? Like, is that
Yeah. Yeah. Why,
please?
like, why'd you have to do it this time? Did you just
Yeah.
feel like it or what?
What's, and this is the last question I got on the rapid stuff or whatever, but what's one thing every new hunter should focus on?
Finding a mentor and actually listening to them. So, especially with bird dogs, find someone that really knows what they're doing, whether it be an actual trainer or an experienced hunter, um, and listen to everything they're telling you because they're telling you from their mistakes. I made just about every mistake a new hunter with a bird dog can make starting out, and I completely regret it because now I'm looking at Bo and what he is now and what he could have been if I would have actually listened to people. Um, I knew a few trainers, and because I was a young, how old was I? 22. I was 22-year old, and I knew everything. And there were trainers telling me to do different things or not do that because of this. And I'm like, ah, oh, it'll be all right. I know better. These guys see a couple hundred, or not a couple hundred, but they'll train 20 or 30 dogs a year. And this is my first one, and I know better than them.
Yeah.
No, not a chance. But yeah, find someone and listen to them. Listen to everything they're telling you and go from there.
I feel like you just talked directly to me or about me there because I was the same way. I got my dog, no intentions to really hunt him. And then I decided to start hunting him around 22, 23. And I was the same way watching YouTube videos. And I was like, I can do this on my own. I can train the dog. And now looking back, I'm like, I could not train the dog. I did not know what I was doing.
Yep.
Still don't know what I'm doing.
Yep. The main thing with dogs is don't mess around with, and this is one of my kind of bigger pet peeves, is don't mess around with gun breaking. There's a right way and a wrong way, and doing it the right way has a really good success rate, and doing it the wrong way has a lot better chance of failure. Like, I've heard guys take them to the rifle range. They'll
Oh,
take a 12-week-old puppy and tie him up on a stakeout, and they'll shoot their high-powered rifle, and dog freaks out and like, oh, dog's gun shy. I'm like, no, like, I guarantee if you did it right, that dog would be just fine.
yeah.
But so don't take your dog to the gun range like that if they've never been shot around. Um, Talk to a trainer; they can walk you through the process. If you just take them to the gun range, it's one of the hardest things to fix. Everything else can be fixed, but gun breaking can sometimes not be undone.
I I gun broke my dog. I don't know if I did it the right way or I got lucky, but he's not gun shy. So we made it there at some point. I don't know if I did it right or he's just hard headed enough that he eventually didn't care. But I shot at some past ducks, some ducks that got up off a pond the other day, and as soon as the gun went off, he's went down to the water's edge and was like, "Where's the bird?" I'm like, buddy, no, there's no bird. There's no bird. And you don't even swim anyways. You're not gonna go get it. I would have had to go get it. But I don't I feel like there's so many ways you can do it right and so many ways you can do it wrong, and doing it wrong seems to be the way that a lot of people, including myself, do it when we don't listen.
Yeah, and there's also certain dogs that you could do everything wrong with and they're still going to be fine. And then there's certain dogs that you can do everything right with and they're still going to be super timid and super shy. And but there's the more you can do it, like gradually introducing a gun, the better your chances of those dogs that might be on that edge of being too shy versus not, the better off you are.
Yeah, I was so hesitant to introduce a gun when I finally did. Like, I did the clap, pots and pans, like, and then I felt like I was ready to shoot a lower caliber gun around him, and I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. What if he's terrified? But the time came, and he didn't even care when the gun went off. He just kept doing its thing. So I feel like I got lucky, and I'm fortunate.
Yeah. Well, the main thing, like, is if they're distracted, you're a lot
Yeah,
better off too. Like, you don't want them just tied up to a stakeout right beside you while you're trying to blast away and they don't have a clue what's going on.
yeah. And the hardest thing is like I'd taken him out, and like I was like, I'm gonna let him run, and while he's running, I'm gonna shoot my gun. I'm gonna let him get a little ways off. I'm gonna shoot the gun. And he just sitting there. He saw the gun, so he's just sitting there looking at me like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Dude, like, go, run, get out of here." And he just did not want to do it. But and I really appreciate you coming on, man, and talking to me. And I'm really, I'm really excited to see where the whole pink gun initiative goes. I want to see where it ends up at the end of the year, and then 2026. I know it's going to be way bigger than what it was this year. There's going to be a lot more support.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a few like outfitters and stuff that we're talking about getting involved in things like that, which could really make a big difference too.
Oh yeah,
So
that'll be awesome.
I think with proper planning and getting the right people involved in it, it can grow pretty big.
Oh yeah. Now everybody who's listening, I know you talked about your Instagram earlier, but just want you to tell everybody again where they can find you on Instagram to message you or show some support to your page, your business there.
Yeah. So Instagram, it is at camp, CAMP __ CO.
Okay, man. And you have any more hunts planned, out of state hunts, or are you done with out of state?
Done out of state this year. And then I think we're going to do Minnesota and South Dakota again next year. That's possibly going to change depending on how things fall because it's two different groups trying to coordinate everything. So, however it falls, it falls. But I think we're for sure going to go out to South Dakota and then Minnesota just depends on timing.
Okay. Well, good luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully a lot of birds are shot with the pink gun in the guiding season.
Yeah,
Hopefully
thank you.
Bo doesn't give you too much of a fit.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little balled up here because of him, but we'll make it through it.
Oh, you can blame it on the dog.
Yep. Poor genetics.
Oh man. Well, it was good talking to you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really
Yep.
appreciate it.
Yep. Have a good night,
So,
man.
all right, we'll see you, Shane.
See ya.
Bye. If I can figure out how to get off here. There we go.
Thanks for listening to the Feather and Field podcast. Big thanks to Brendon for joining me today. If you enjoyed the show, hit subscribe and share it with someone who loves the uplands. Follow along on Instagram for more stories, films, and hunts. See you in the next one. Get outside and enjoy your dogs.